ちょっと潰される感じが本当に憂鬱で、やめたいなって気持ちが一瞬よぎりました。
She was walking like it was just a normal day, but clearly, it wasn't. She looked like she'd been crying, shaken up, you know? Then she shows herself going up to the rooftop of a building. I actually cut that part out so the video wouldn't get too long. And she starts repeating, "I'm scared, I'm scared." This happened about a month ago. We always think people are doing okay, right? I don't want to get married. I don't want to have children. Many young people in Japan today would rather live alone and embrace solitude than be in relationships or start families. But where does this overwhelming sense of loneliness come from? According to statistics, Japanese youth have now become the loneliest generation in the country's history, even surpassing the elderly. In November of last year, the World Health Organization officially declared loneliness a global public health issue. It was once thought of as something that only affected the elderly. But in Japan, from 2021 to 2023, the loneliness index has steadily increased, especially among those aged 20 to 39. They are now considered the most isolated generation Japan has ever seen. At the extreme end of the spectrum are the hikikomori people who withdraw completely from society. But there are millions more being slowly pulled into the same vortex of isolation. This emotional condition has triggered a series of social issues: rising depression, falling marriage rates, declining productivity, and a surge in social anxiety. Loneliness is creeping into every corner of society, suffocating many. In a 2023 survey, many Japanese people reported feeling lonely on a regular basis. A young woman named Eri shared that she's already learned to coexist peacefully with her solitude. Today, she dined alone at a restaurant, scrolling through her phone while enjoying her meal at her own pace. She ordered whatever she wanted without worrying about anyone else's preferences, and that made her feel free. Eri often does everything alone. She believes solitude gives her more space to think and grow. Author Mayumi feels the same way. She wrote a book about women living solo, which was later adapted into a television series. She calls herself a woman of solitude. And this lifestyle is gaining popularity. As this group continues to grow, so does the demand for services tailored to single people: housing, banking, travel, and more. For Japan, this marks a cultural turning point. Professor Mitsunori Ishida of Waseda University says that compared to other countries, Japan has very few friendships, and in many cases, not even someone to talk to. Most young people may have 2 or 3 close friends, some might have 15. But for Eri, who works in the entertainment industry, fierce competition forces her to keep her distance, making it difficult to open up. She also avoids negative people, afraid of being subtly influenced by their attitudes. Today, young people meet up less and less. Many avoid interactions just to keep things simple. Even elderly people on medication avoid contact; they don't want to be a burden. This makes modern loneliness in Japan more visible than ever. "Don't bother anyone" has practically become a rule for survival. Social interactions are full of hesitation. People are terrified of saying the wrong thing, leaving a bad impression, or being a nuisance. To avoid worrying others, many prefer to deal with problems alone without telling anyone. Eri says that no matter how close friends are, they're still outsiders. She feels embarrassed to trouble anyone. Smartphones have made it easier to both connect and disconnect from people. But that fragile form of interaction offers no real security and contributes to a quiet, chronic loneliness. Japan faces the twin challenges of an aging population and a declining birth rate. Though the number of full-time workers is rising, jobs are more unstable, and community engagement is shrinking. According to Japan's Cabinet Office, the group most affected by loneliness is women in their 20s. Nakan, a 24-year-old postgraduate working part-time at City Hall, spends most of her time studying. She has only 1-2 hours of leisure per day and sometimes goes months without seeing friends. Japan is one of the countries with the longest working hours in the world. Some companies demand over 80 hours per week. That workload is a major reason why young people are distancing themselves socially. What's more, many young adults lack the desire or motivation to pursue marriage or parenthood, which deeply affects Japan's social and economic structure. Plenty of people still want to get married but don't want to pay the price. Raising a child is expensive. During Japan's economic boom, the traditional mindset was that men work and women stay at home, and that idea still lingers. Many women at the University of Tokyo marry right after graduation, but Nakan chose a different path. At times, she feels excluded and insecure for not following the norm. Miyazaki, for example, had to take care of his sick mother in grade school. He grew distant from his friends, and that's when he first felt loneliness. In high school, he went through a breakup and spiraled into that feeling again, wondering if loneliness was his fate. Today, many people post idealized lives on social media. Nakan, seeing her friends' posts, realized her income doesn't allow her the same lifestyle, and that only made her feel more left out. Miyazaki says even when he opens up, no one truly understands. According to Dr. Koguchi, professor of anthropology at Temple University, loneliness isn't sudden. It starts as social discomfort, then becomes withdrawal, then depression, and sometimes leads to darker behavior. It's a gradual process. Yasuko fled home at 14 to escape domestic violence. With no food, phone, or friends, she wandered Tokyo's streets. She worked at a nightclub but made no friends there either. As family violence and school dropout cases rose, so did the number of suicides. Yasuko once considered jumping from a bridge but didn't. The term hikikomori emerged to describe youth aged 15-40 who withdraw completely from society. From 2016 to 2023, their numbers rose from 1.57% to 2.05%, and they keep growing. Koji, who suffered abuse at school, dropped out at 16 and locked himself at home until his 30s. He faced intense emotional breakdowns but never spoke to anyone, thinking nobody would understand. He describes Japanese schools as emotionally suffocating, full of restrictions on hair, clothing, and other petty rules. In 2023, almost 300,000 elementary and middle school students dropped out a record high, which means the number of hikikomori is likely to grow. Koji's mother was extremely controlling. He never fought back and eventually lost all sense of self-worth, even feeling unworthy of living. And this isn't just in Japan. South Korea, Singapore, Italy, France, and other parts of Europe are facing similar cultural shifts. Hattori, 29, was a top student, but growing up in a rural area with few opportunities, he dreamed of moving to Tokyo. When he got there, he was disappointed. Back in his village, people helped each other. There was warmth in daily life. In Tokyo, he didn't even know who his neighbors were, and when he needed help, no one cared. He returned to the countryside and started a small business. He chose human connection over the flashiness of city life. Today, more NGOs are supporting those battling loneliness. Ono, who dropped out in grade school due to physical and mental health issues, now works at an inclusive company, slowly learning to reconnect with society. Yasuko began therapy with help from an organization. For the first time, she felt heard and hopes to make new friends. Koji, after healing, began expanding his world. He met others with similar stories and started sharing his own to help them, and that made him feel less alone. Miyazaki is now the president of a youth caregiver association. He's committed to helping others beat loneliness, a growing, silent killer. A Japanese survey once asked, "Would you rather live in a lively but restrictive society or a lonely but free one?" 65% chose solitude with freedom. After all, Japan has built a system where it's entirely possible to live without talking to anyone. You choose. Live alone or join a group. Professor Ishida from Waseda University says, "Everyone feels lonely at some point, and that's only going to get worse." Eri believes emotional strength is essential. Being able to handle your emotions and solve problems is the key to not letting loneliness take over your life. and Miyazaki leaves a final message to all young people hiding in the shadows. Don't worry about being different. Use this time alone to understand yourself. Sometimes, it's at that lowest point that life quietly shifts direction. This is All Asian Dilemmas, documenting the world as it truly is. Let us know your thoughts on this Japanese dilemma in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, share, and subscribe for more stories like this. See you in the next video.